Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and for one final time for this season, welcome back to the Ray Esports Club Racing League. This is round number 7 for group number 3, coming to you tonight from Mid-Ohio. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth will hopefully soon be Charles Bichelle, and in the virtual production hauler, who will be joining me in the commentary booth, at least as it stands at the moment, is Joshua Wilkie. We're back again for one final time for the SCCA-oriented group, running at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We're also running on the historic layout of this circuit as well, and I think we are in for a good one. Josh, the Mid-Ohio track that we are running at is the historic one. It has that chicane heading up into the keyhole, but it's always been one that's been a bit tricky to nail down for some of these racers. But despite that, we've seen it used in Ray Esports races before, so I think we're in for a good one nonetheless.
Yeah, this is a really cool track. I really like driving around here. Very unique. You're not going to find too many tracks like Mid-Ohio out there. Not an easy one either. You got to definitely put your time in. Make sure you got all those apexes correct. And so, there's some blind stuff going on here. It always seems to race really well through here, or in this track as well. It's a really fun place to drive. Basically, I just really like driving around here. It's undulating and got pretty much every corner you can name. I think it's going to be a really good last test for our drivers here. Not exactly a huge draft track either here for the V's, although there is a pretty good section for it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one, Ron.
Yeah, keeping our fingers crossed for a fantastic race to bring this season to a conclusion. This Ray Esports Club Racing League season, ignoring all the groups and everything, because we did have 3 groups all throughout it. We would like to congratulate some of our champions in some of the other categories, which we certainly will be touching on all throughout this broadcast. But this season started the day before Halloween, if my memory serves me correctly, on October the 30th. It has been a very long series to be a part of, and an absolute pleasure to be a part of as well. Josh and I, along with Charles, who, fingers crossed, we will get him in the commentary booth between now and the end of this show. We all used to do the Tuesday night Ray Esports series together on the other broadcaster that we will not mention by name. I think it's trying to remember, it was Exit Curb Radio Broadcasting, something like that. But we all used to do those shows together on Tuesday nights, and one of the holdovers from all of that, including some of the Mazdas that we saw in Mazda Mania for Group 1, were these Formula Vs. They used to be part of the Formula Car class with the FFs, and they always used to be such a center of attention during those. I think we would occasionally show like, oh yeah, here's how it's looking in the Formula Fords, but our main attention is on the FVs. These cars, Josh, as we've very much so learned doing the Formula V Weekend Warriors broadcast together, they put on great racing no matter where you go. So even though this track is tight, twisty, and really technical, I still think we're in for a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Even more so maybe because it is so tight and twisty and technical that we're gonna throw up a challenge for some of these drivers, and it's just a great place for these Vs to run around as well. We've got, I believe, here Justin Huffman out there currently sitting in 8th place here in qualifying with about 6 minutes on the clock. Not too much time left to get one in. You're going to want to get those tires warmed up around here. I would imagine that a lot of this stuff's pretty flat in a V. I've never really driven around here in the V. I've done a race, believe in the FFs, the Formula Fords, and the SRFs around here a couple times now. And I can tell you it's not an easy challenge, this being a little bit of a different layout than the one that I am actually kind of familiar with here on. So I'll probably have to let you do the track guide if you are familiar with it. But nonetheless, it's a tight, twisty, technical track that's not going to be easy for these drivers. And it looks like even, now that I'm mentioning it, looks like one of those big draft areas has actually kind of been removed from the track with a chicane there on.
Yeah, thankfully we will have this long flat-out blast down into what usually would be turn number 4 around here, what is now turn number 6. You can see Justin Huffman heading his way through this section right now. The runoff area here, turn number 6, China Beach as they like to call it. It's called out many a driver in the past, if anyone remembers the crash that Michael Andretti had through there, tumbling his way through the gravel trap. Very similar to the wreck that Simon Pagenaud had heading off through there a couple of years ago. Turn 6 on this layout of the circuit, one of the heaviest braking zones heading into it. it's super, super tricky to try and get right. The rest of this course is tough, though, as we just saw Justin Huffman get bit by the bullet heading off into the S's section. We're going to do a nice little lap with Edgar Sancinelli in the number 11 Frito Sport car. This track, one of the only from this season that I've actually visited in real life, and a nice spectator perspective for a motorcycle race right about there on the left-hand side of this track. But we just saw him go through turn number 1, super unique corner around here, and here is the trouble spot. This is a chicane right before the keyhole. You can see lots of curves for these drivers to try and hit. This is a keyhole section, usually turn number 4 on this, usually turn number 2 on this layout. It is turn number 4. The asphalt, catchier than my faith when I was 14. The people who've tuned into these shows throughout the season know the drill with my similes by now, but it's important to get a good run heading through there because it leads your way onto this massively long back straightaway. In the Formula Vs, the draft is always super important. In the Spec Racer 4s we have later on, the draft is going to be mega as well. So that is going to be a rather important thing. Sancinelli getting some experience with a jump and bang into the outside wall of China Beach. That's not the correct line. Heading off into turn number 6, just to make that 100% clear. However, that did get a 10 out of 10 reaction from the judges. Parked up on the grassy knoll on the inside of turn number 6. I think we'll re-rack it and give it a couple of more moments before we try again. But that was a half a lap guide with Edgar Sancinelli, proving the challenges that chicane heading into the keyhole.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to go up through T1 here again. This is, oh, nope, you know what? We're not. Driver's not playing ball with us today. We're going to have a little meeting about that maybe. But yeah, so that, going into T1 there, one of the more strange corners, difficult corner. You basically fire yourself at that curb, and then by the time you get there, you find yourself kind of not going over it, especially in a faster car. Especially, I'm not sure it's exactly like that in the V's, but you really want to kind of be dancing with that curb a little bit. If you hit it, it can upset the car a little, but it's definitely an interesting corner. And then usually there's a big long straightaway right there. You can get a draft into a really sharp right-hander, but on this particular layout, we have a chicane through there, which is definitely going to throw up some challenge for everybody there. I would imagine that's going to be a pretty contentious spot for passes and stuff as well, Ron.
And as I said right towards the beginning of this show, that chicane layout is technically true to the original in reference to Mid-Ohio. That was the layout up until, I believe, 1986. I always like to add a small little bit of an asterisk whenever it comes to me mentioning racing history stuff. In the guise of maybe being corrected by someone in the YouTube chat or in the comments, but I believe it was the late 80s for sure when they changed the layout of this track. And even with the small little changes that have gone down here at Mid-Ohio, it is still an absolute staple of sports car racing. Hosted the SCCA National Championship runoffs on a couple of occasions, still hosts IndyCar and IMSA every single year. It is a fine motorsports facility, even though it is, there used to be a joke that Mid-Ohio was slap dab in the middle between Low Ohio and High Ohio. I got to visit here back in 2021 before I even thought about getting into broadcasting stuff, so don't think I have any photos from that visit, but my father can attest to the fact that we went here after leaving an autocross event that was held up in Toledo. The drive to get from Toledo to here, I mean, I say this as someone who's gone through like the middle of Iowa and Nebraska on Interstate 80, where it is basically cornfields and soybean fields and nothing else around you. I mean, Nebraska as a state is about 50% dust and 50% bowl, but driving around here, maybe it's just my perspective being from the city of Philadelphia, but Mid-Ohio is in about as rural of a part of a country as you can get. So really old school track, really old school facility, but it's a gem.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself, Ron. This place is, I don't think they'd build a place like this anymore, really. It's like for certain speed cars and stuff, too. It's a fairly dangerous place to drive, I think. It's actually kind of shocking sometimes to think Indy cars still rip around here because there's a lot of concrete barriers and not a whole lot of gravel traps to slow you down and stuff. But that's what makes it so darn cool, I think, as well. It's just got something that other tracks don't have anymore. There are a lot of very muted tracks these days, and this is anything but muted. It's definitely a busy track. You got to hustle around it. Not an easy one to drive, not an easy one to get a good time on here. Is actually one of the Huffman brothers, kind of class of the field here with a 42. Not bad.
Yeah, that right there is actually Jameson in the number 89 car. Should be noted, and don't worry, Josh, I've made this mistake. It's actually the father and son duo of Jameson the son
right,
and
yes.
Justin the dad. So don't worry, I've made that mistake many times in the past. I think it was
I haven't been on comms in a while.
Bonnie and Trip Isley, who I used to say were brothers. I believe they're actually father and son.
Right.
However, I believe Donnie's the dad and Trip is the son, if my memory serves me correctly there. I say this as someone who doesn't even remember where his keys are more often than not, so you can add a big asterisk against any sort of stuff that I say on the air. But yeah, it's nice to have a family atmosphere here in the Ray Esports series, whether it be with the old Tuesday night series, whether it be with the Weekend Warriors, or here with the Wednesday night Club Racing League. Just got the same consistent cast of characters all throughout, which we always love.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things that makes these Ray Esports leagues so good, really, is the cast of characters that we get to hang out with, you know, and get to drive with and get to share setups with. And you meet a bunch of people, some real race car drivers, some sim drivers, some people, just, you know, just all kinds of characters there to race with. But everybody, you know, on track races really well. You know, it's I barely do officials anymore at all. I pretty much just do the Ray leagues and you know, a couple other leagues here that are on slow-mo, and that's really about it, because the racing is just so darn good and the characters involved are even better. It's just a great place to be, great place to race. You know, I used to kind of wander around in the sim racing space. I used to call myself a bit of a sim racing nomad, looking for a place, looking for like-minded people, and then I found it. I found it here with Ray Esports and you know, and with slow-mo and stuff, and it's just been an awesome experience for me. So I definitely, you know, anybody wants to get involved, make sure you look into you know, shoot us a message on slow-mo. Go look Ray Esports up online. Make sure you take a look at Sim Motion, our sponsor here. You know, all kinds of great hardware and everything helping us put this stuff on, and couldn't do it without all you guys.
And while you're there at us.sim-motion.com to take a look at some of the best sim racing products that you can get from some of the best brands and just about everything that you can think to add on to your sim rig, having to use discount code RAY5 at checkout for some very sweet discounts. See, I've done that ad plug so many times this year that I think it is burned into my memory. I say this year, it has been a lot thus far this year. Every single week, we've been able to cover this series since the day before Halloween, with the exceptions of Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. We have always been here with these Wednesday nights, and despite the fact it's been 3 groups of 7 rounds, we've still been able to see some absolutely fantastic drivers rise up to the top. And here in this qualifying session for the FBs, we're seeing some of the best that the Weekend Warriors / Ray Esports world has to offer. Huffman, Soto, Crab, Andrew Love, and his Jameson's dad, Justin, there in P5. We're going to get the starting grid loaded up here in a couple of minutes' time.
Oh boy, it's raining.
Whoa, boy, it's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. This is going to be some fun. Jameson Huffman will start this rain-soaked race from the pole position. Joshua Soto set to join him on the front row. Miles Crab will start in 3rd. Andrew Love in P4. Justin Huffman in 5th. Jim Brewster in 6th. Josh Justice in P7. Guido Marzuki, SMB Zone, will start in 8th. Matt Thompson in 9th, and Chuck Labano running at our top 10.
I just want to mention here in the chat, Dan Szynski just called rain. He said the fog makes it look like it's 6 a.m. or maybe like it's dumping torrential rain, and then sure enough, we jump into the session, and there it is. Chuck Labano in 10th. We have Edgar Sancinelli in 11th. Corey Hafron in 12th place. In 13th place, we have... Oh, I lost my eyeballs there for a sec. Michelle Lynn, series admin of the FVs. Michelle Lynn in 13th. 14th, Seth Spoolman. 15th, Mike Nickham. 16th, Wayne Buttermore. 17th, Jason Grider. 18th, Mike Key. And in 19th, rounding out the field, we have Aaron Bray putting in the most laps, I think, in qualifying there. So let's see him move up.
And let's see how exactly this field is going to tackle this rain-soaked race that we have for you here this evening. You can see the wipers are on the pace car, and should be noted, Jameson Huffman, who is an absolutely fabulous driver here in the Weekend Warriors. He in the Ray Esports, he also has some stuff in the Weekend Warriors, mind you. Very quick drivers. And in those two, the father and son duo who run Formula Enterprise cars in real life. Jameson saying in the YouTube chat that he has never done iRacing rain before. So this is going to be I can't even say a trial by fire. I think it's probably going to resemble a trial by firing squad more than anything else. iRacing currently marking the track as moderately wet. Track temperatures at about 64 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a cold track. It's a rainy track. It's going to be one with some hot racing action. The green flag is out, and the drivers are on their way for the final Formula V race of this season, heading their way down into turn number 1, trying to pick their way through the spray a little bit farther in the back and just try and make their way around this racetrack. It's going to be dark. It's going to be foggy. You can see the visibility as these drivers careen their way out of turn number 1.
Andrew Love off the road.
Running way off the track. Holy cow. Formula V car, as good as it is as a race car, it's not very good as a rally car. I think Andrew Love had to learn that lesson the hard way coming out of turn number 1.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine getting into the bumps in this thing, you're feeling everything. I bet you if you run over a quarter in this thing, you feel it in your butt cheeks, I would imagine. It's got a not pretty stiff, really low to the ground, and you definitely don't want to run it off the road like that. You're going to lose a bit of time. In the grass, too, here when it's wet. I would imagine it's pretty slick out there, too, but pretty muted start here so far. We're nice and clean. Looks like everybody's kind of just testing the rain, testing the grip a little bit. Gonna have to find those puddles on the first lap, and man, you don't want to find it going too fast or on the brakes or in the wrong orientation. But it looks like so far we're doing pretty good here in the V's. In the rain is Love taking another little trip into the grass there. Perhaps took a bit of grass on the tires there. Gotta try to get them warmed up again.
I gotta say, what an introduction into tonight's racing action for our colleague, Mr. Charles Bachot, who has now been able to join us in the commentary booth. Charles, you've missed out on this track being absolutely soaked with rain, and Dan Szynski doing his best Nostradamus impression, calling this rain during qualifying. So, welcome into tonight's race, and welcome to the Madhouse.
Thank you very much, and so very, very sorry for being late. I guess I'm big timing now that I did the podcast last night. Now I just can't be bothered to get here on time. So no, very, very, very sorry. You know, I could make a bunch of excuses, but none of those would be sufficient.
It's all right. The traffic is really bad around here. When I went here back in 2021, the traffic was abhorrent trying to get into this place.
You know, my police escort left me, so you know, it is what it is. So anyway, yeah. So obviously it looks wet. So yeah, that's going to make it fun.
Yeah, that it certainly will. I gotta say, I think we're probably going to have more fun on this broadcast than these drivers will out there on the racetrack. I think they're going to be quietly crapping themselves, if I'm being completely honest. But still gonna be a good one here at Mid-Ohio, running on the historic layout of this track as well, the chicane right before the keyhole. Gonna break these drivers up a little bit. The draft's still going to be powerful. I have a feeling, despite the fact that Josh and I were waxing lyrical about the draft being super important, I have a feeling that just surviving this race is probably going to be even more vital, Charles.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, it is survival of the fittest out here in a wet track like this. Mid-Ohio, not the easiest track in the world in the dry. So yeah, put it in the wet. It's going to make it that much more difficult, as we still see one of the Huffmans off the track there. Soto first, Crab second, Jim Brewster. My man Jim up there in third place. He loves the wet tracks. I was gonna say it'd be sneaky, but he's out there up toward the front already, so he may have a good shot here at getting himself a win.
You know, he just moved into P2 because Miles Crab has had some sort of moment. He's dropping down the running order now in 5th, make that 6th. That's going to turn into 7th here in a couple of moments. I think I can see a side of that drama. There's Crab in the 131 car. He has had a terrible run heading off through the mid-sector of this race course. I think at a moment potentially heading through the S's. Let's take a look at it here. Heading down the hill, this section could catch out many a racer. Yeah. Hit the grass, hits the painted curb, and has nowhere to fight that.
Yeah, you get down here in the Thunder Valley, and it's very, very difficult. There's really one really good line through there, and then everything else is you're just basically trying to catch up to the car. And as you can see, just push a little wide off in the grass, but able to get it back on without any spins or any contact. As there's another car off there coming off wide, coming out of turn 1.
And as our producer, Mr. Wilkie, says, the rally action certainly continuing here. That, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, was Chuck Labano Actually, no, there's Labano right there in front, so that may have been one of the Huffmans, either Jameson or Justin. Let's take a look at here. Here's Justin Huffman and his perspective in the 223 car, heading his way through the corner. Looks fine, looks fine, looks fine. Oh, gets a little bit of a wiggle on, heading through the exit, and that's going to send him right off the track. Look at that, hitting the hop, skip, and a jump through the grass.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be that pretty much for the entire race. These cars, it doesn't look like the rain's going to stop anytime soon. So for this 30-minute race, it's going to be full wet, and you're going to have to struggle with it, as we see Father Guido there just getting it caught up before he got into China Beach, and was able to get that car recovered and keep it on track.
I know as we continue to see this race, I can't even say settle down, because I feel like if I say that, it's immediately going to age like milk in the Nevada sun. I want to raise a point about Jim Brewster, something you talked about in your appearance on the other Racing Line podcast yesterday evening, Charles. Jim Brewster, very fast in the rain. You were sharing the other story of the Week 13 V runoffs. I believe it was the 40th V runoffs back in at the end of season 1 of 2023, right before I came aboard full-time with the Weekend Warriors. Completely rain-soaked at Okayama with the FFs, and he cut his way through the field like a hot knife through butter. Now, I think is putting on a very similar performance to this here today, as we have a replay of a moment. Unfortunately, this glitched out for me.
Yep, that was the off there going into China Beach for probably Miles Crab. Oh no, it wasn't Miles Crab, it was one of the Huffmans, I think. So yeah, Jim basically says, I drive it like I drive in snow. He said, I just don't do anything in a hurry. I keep the car under control. I don't brake hard, I don't throttle hard. And he said if you do that, the car will stay underneath you and you can make some good lap times out of it, and he's showing it right now.
Hey, regardless of what way you kind of have to go about it, if it works, it works. At the end of the day, that is all that matters. I gotta say, from my own personal experience running in the rain, first ever rain event I ever did was on day 2 of the SCCA Solo Nationals down in Lincoln, Nebraska in 2016, as we see side-by-side racing with Josh Justice and Jameson Huffman hang down that back straightaway off into what is turn number 6 on this lad, usually turn number 4. Probably going to mix them up and just randomly say turn number 5 between now and the end of this show. But there was a move from Huffman. It looks like Miles Crab going to follow in on Josh Justice. Justice has been very fast thus far this season in the Formula Vs, despite the fact he's usually a Spec Racer Ford guy, drives a Spec Racer Ford car in real life and has occasionally done a Formula V, but the Spec Racer Ford is what he calls home. He's been very quick thus far this season. It's essentially the champion-elect for this class of Group 3. Look at that. That's going off the track for one of the other Huffmans. That right there was Jameson. He avoided going off the track in a similar fashion to what Miles Crab did, fittingly as himself and Miles Crab are going side by side.
Yeah, Justice has had a great season this year, obviously leading the points, and he's doing what he needs to. He's up there running in 6th place right now, keeping the car as clean as best he can, and we have to rename that part of the track Thunder River as opposed to Thunder Valley, because it's just soaked. It is there's standing water everywhere here at Mid-Ohio, and it's gonna be that, I think, for the entire race. It's gonna be, we'll see cars, taking it too far through some certain corners and just having to recover. Hopefully nobody just ends up in the wall. So we see, I think, Guido popped down a position or two, maybe a little off for him as well, as we see now Heffron off the track, losing a position. So yeah, it's just going to be, as I said, survival of the fittest tonight.
I know one thing to raise about Guido Marzuki is the fact he actually won the last race here for group number 3, that being at VIR about a month ago at this point. So he's quick in the FVs, and we're definitely not just saying that because he's one of our colleagues here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. But whether it be the FV Weekend Warriors or whether it be here for group 3, despite the fact that's God knows what time for him in Italy, like 1 o'clock in the morning or something absolutely absurd like that. Still pretty quick in these FVs, week in and week out, race in and race out. Finds himself in P8 at the moment. Let's see if Father Guido will be able to, this may be slightly offensive, part the seas here at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, that's appropriate. So on board here, we was on with Chuck Labano. Now we switch back to Corey Heffron, who's a couple positions behind. Got Guido there stuck in P8, and you could just, oh man, I do not envy those drivers out there. This is crazy. But you know, these drivers, they do this week in and week out, so I'm sure they know the capabilities of the car, and they're going to try and push it to the limit. As you can see, sometimes the limit's going to change. As we're still riding on board here with Corey Heffron, and coming out of the final corner. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, true professionalism there. I was going off on a small little thing talking about the limits for these drivers and how this racetrack is going to evolve, and how pretty much every single lap these drivers will have to find a different limit. And then I looked down and realized that the red lights on my mixing board mean that my microphone is muted. So clearly, as much as these tires are full of air and are hollow, so is my head. Jim Brewster, who are falling right now in the second position, runs pretty far behind Josh Soto at the moment, albeit last time by, actually no, not last time by, he has set the fast lap of the race earlier on though, and set the fast lap of the race in pretty comfortable fashion. The only driver in the 157 bracket, which frankly, considering the times up and down the grid, is absurd.
Yeah, that's pretty quick. I mean, obviously he's, you know, it looked like at least a second faster than everybody else, and he's running in P2, and he's got Soto up there, and we know Josh is fast. There's no doubt about that. But you know, can Josh keep the car underneath him for the entire 30 minutes, as well as can Jim? So you see him struggling a little bit there through. I guess that's now turn 7 or turn 8, and you can just see the water across the track there. It's absolutely insane how much water there is down the track. And it looks like that may be some spots where it's actually stopped raining. I kind of noticed that as they were coming through Thunder Valley, that didn't look like there was, it wasn't raining until they come out of that final corner, and then the rain picked back up. So are we getting some intermittent showers, or is this going to be like this for the entire 30 minutes?
Oh, so you can just hear the tires screeching for Jim Brewster heading his way off through the carousel. That is a good thing to raise. The rain around this track is not very heavy at all. Looking at the iRacing weather radar, which I will not make a joke about because every single time I have done that in the past, my iRacing has started to perform worse as a result. Looking through the darkest sort of color that we've got on the other weather radar right now is like a slightly darkish green. The rest of it's like normal tone green, light green, and even a little bit of blue, which is about as light of rain as you can get. Now, if this track was enveloped in purple rain on the weather radar, I just realized the unintended Prince reference there. If the weather radar was in dark red / pink / purple, number one, we would not be able to see the track. Number two, I think everyone would have crashed out by turn 2. And thirdly, we would probably have to evacuate our broadcast booth before our microphones get soaked.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Purple Rain, terrible movie, great soundtrack.
Yeah, there we go. That's Josh, was that comment from you out on the microphone? Yeah, he said, great album, bad movie, great song, bad movie.
Yep.
And my short-term memory loss came back to bite me on the ass here as we take a look at a moment involving Aaron Bray.
Yep.
I think that may have been a slight red herring there, heading down the back straightaway. Getting a good view of this racetrack, though, in these incredibly soggy conditions. This is actually moments for Aaron Bray involving some overtaking.
Yeah, that was a near-death experience overtake there for Aaron as he got by the 44 car of Michelle Lynn and just sideways. He's up 8 spots, so started from the backs, worked his way up toward the mid-pack. And continue forward. Also, Wayne Butterbore up 6 spots, so having a good run for Wayne tonight.
Yeah, Wayne Butterbore is a driver who always shows up in the Weekend Warriors and Ray Esports stuff, whether it be here in the Wednesday night series, whether it be in the Weekend Warriors. I always like to see Wayne out there in the number 73 car with that very, very striking livery, it must be said. It's pretty
who's that?
good-looking colors on that car is who was that? That may have potentially been Aaron Gray taking a trip into China Beach. So a quick run off into Shanghai.
Yeah, he's off there in the wet, the really wet stuff. So it's, you know, it's gonna be tough to recover the car from out there. That is one thing as we see Sancinelli off on the left hand side in the grass. I can imagine it would be very difficult with wet grass / sand to get that car resolved back onto the track. And but so far everybody's, like I said, seems to be doing a good job. They nothing into the barrier yet. So we see Miles Crab has now caught back up and made the move over Jim Brewster and has retaken second place. Jim running in third, Jameson Huffman in fourth.
Yeah, I think what Jim would love to have at this point is a complete change in weather conditions, but he can see it's still not over. Miles Crab running wide heading off through there. Now, I'm going to try and put my glasses on to see if I'm seeing this correctly. Is that a Wendy's paint scheme on Miles Crab's car? We'll have to touch on that. Actually, no, that's a Mario. I could not have been farther off if I tried, as we continue to see these drivers battle hard.
It's the M, but it's not the entire Wendy's logo. So, no, I think Jim is basically saying, this is my pace. If you guys can stay on the track, you'll be in front of me at the end. Otherwise, I'm going to keep moving forward. So I don't think Jim it's not necessarily that Jim's in a hurry. I think Jim is just running his pace. He knows he can keep the car under him at that speed. And so he's not pushing it. And if everybody else wants to try and make that move and go around, you know, more power to him. But at the end of the day, Jim's going to come home with a clean car.
Yeah, and in conditions like this, having a clean car at the end is probably a greater achievement than anything. To finish first, yeah, to finish. I've read that in the Fortune Cookie before, and it's super vital in a race like this just to be there at the end. If you show race-winning speed, it doesn't really matter if you crash yourself off into the wall 2 corners into the second lap.
That's right. Oh, Justice off somewhere on the track, dropping down the order. There he is. That coming out of the keyhole, coming down the straightaway to China Beach. I think that's where he is. Is that right? Yep. So yeah, see coming through the keyhole here, and is he gonna hit puddles? He does, and yeah, just tried to get back on the throttle while he was in the middle of that gully over there on the left-hand side, and loses the rear of the car.
Yeah, the standing water catching more drivers out as this race continues to develop. We'll know Josh Soto in the 07 car. He is at the front of the field, and I will refrain from making any further comment about the driver of the 07 machine, because I feel like every single time I talk about how talented of a racer he is, he proceeds to end up either getting struck by a falling anvil or striking himself with a falling anvil.
Yeah, it does happen sometimes. We sometimes the commentators curse the drivers, and sometimes the drivers curse themselves. Or the other drivers, but that's a different story. We try not to do that here. But yeah, he's having a good run so far, and we're 18 minutes into this 30-minute race, so he's on the back half of the course, and just got to bring it home.
I'm not sure if there's any rhyme or reason to this, but when you're talking about drivers jinxing each other, I just got a very odd flashback to the early days in which Josh and I were working together on broadcast with a different broadcaster, where I did an impression of like some sort of weird ritual that I saw inside a random hotel room at a Motel 6 back in like 2016. I have no idea why that popped into my mind, but it did. It may be a good thing I'm an organ donor after I'm dead. Someone can study the static that's going on up here. I will say, speaking of a commentator's jinx, I think it may have struck Wayne Baltimore as he's had a moment in the number 73 car. Let's take a look at this. Heading off through the final sector. Final series of corners into the last turn of turn 15 right now. And hit the curb on the outside and bang into the wall.
Just too much standing water on the outside there. They're going to have to adjust to a more rain-friendly line. A lot of times, some of the drivers with a little less experience in the wet, they'll try and run the normal racing line, and with the rubber buildup, that line becomes extremely slick. And as you can see, Wayne basically was in a straight line, he just kept trying to apply more power to the car, and then the rear just let go because he's over there in that rubbered curb on the outside of the final corner.
Yeah, really, the curbs in a race like this, it is essentially like a giant slip and slide, but not even like a normal slip and slide. It's a slip and slide that you poured like a big bucket of Tide laundry detergent on. It should be noted at this exact point in time, despite the fact that this was a rule with another broadcaster, and it's not one here. Slow Motion Broadcasting is not affiliated or sponsored by the Tide Corporation. However, if they would like to give us money, I don't think any of us would mind that one bit. We will certainly take that. Miles Crab, who are falling right now in the 3-car, with a car that is very much so not sponsored by Wendy's. He was running in the Bucky's car earlier on, so I think that may have been part of the reason why my brain was confused there.
Yeah. He's ran the Bucky's livery in a couple of cars, and I'm gonna add another piece to that. Some of those curbs out there are those serrated curbs. And so basically it's like sliding on a slip and slide that's built over a washboard. And so you just kind of a bouncy ride down through there. Yeah, exactly right. And so as we see, it's like Huffman is trying to get him a little bit of a toe off of Crab coming down towards China Beach. And I don't think that he's going to try and make a move. It looks like he's content to stay right behind and just see if Crab's going to make the corner okay, and he does, and Huffman just follows suit, and that is the Jameson variety of Huffman as they're riding through, and so far, I mean, yeah, they've managed to settle back down. The Crabs have some good pace. He's actually closing the gap up to Soto, so we may see a battle for the overall win here before it's all said and done.
This variety of Huffman, that...
Yes. The Jameson variety of Huffman.
Yeah,
because they're both J's. I mean, so it's like, I'm sitting there looking at the screen with the timing tower on it. So if I have to identify them a little more distinctly than that, I have to look over at a whole other screen. So just, not sure I can be bothered. Look at that. There we go. We got first names on there. That's going to make things easier.
Yeah, gotta love the wonderful software that we have here for the live timing and the wonderful graphics that we have. I was like, I'm pretty sure there is an option where you could show the full names. And there we go. Back to. It would be funny if we could just like. Oh yeah, there we go. There's last and first initial. Yeah. There we go. So we got Soto J, Crab M. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, like we're not confused enough as it is, Josh. Come on now.
Yeah. There we go. Just swap it every single corner. Yeah. There we go. I like that. It seems very professional with the full names up there. I feel like I need to enact some sort of like, I don't know, do like my best Tom Snyder impression. Just be like as silky smooth of a radio voice as I can get. And leading this race at the moment is Joshua Soto, Miles Crab, and James Huffman. Dang it, I screwed it up right. See, when I'm doing a different voice, I can't do the same stuff that I do on the air. When I have a different voice than I usually do, I can't act like the airhead that I usually am. Justin Huffman may find himself in a battle with himself and Seth Spallman in the not too far off future. They are nose to tail, heading their way off into the chicane. And I think Jim Brewster may have just lost out on a spot to Matt Thompson a little bit farther up the road to drop down to 5th.
Yep, it looks like Jim's falling back down to 5th place, still having a really good run. Some really quick drivers up there in front of him. And it doesn't like this battle is quite done yet. It looks like Jim's going to try and keep track of him and see if he can get that spot back, see if Thompson makes a mistake or not. Coming down the backstretch here into China Beach, and Jim on the inside and just breaks, and Matt, very, very nice move, stays on the outside, carries it around, and is able to get the pass made before they get up to turn 6.
That was a very smooth move there from Matt Thompson. It's a very good thing that I haven't appeared in a broadcasted race in quite some time. I may have just jinxed him as running wide. I'm going to have turn number 13, and looks like he still remains in 4th at the present moment. I was just going to raise talking about appearing in one of these races, which is something that a lot of people have asked me to do. That was a smooth move for Matt Thompson. If you saw me go for an overtake in a race that I was in, that was being broadcasted, it would be the exact opposite of smooth. It'd basically be about as clunky as a diesel generator running without oil.
Yeah, that's not good. That's that won't last long. As we're back up here at the front, gap really close now. Huffman is now 1.3 behind Soto. Soto may have kind of eased up on the pace a bit to try and make sure he wasn't going to get himself in trouble. But now he might get himself in even more trouble because he's got Jamison Huffman and Miles Crabb coming up very quickly behind.
You can hear that Jaws theme continue to play for some of these racers. And taking a look at some of the times that these drivers have been setting, Jamison Huffman and Chuck Labano last time by setting their best laps of the races. Side-by-side racing going on right in front of Chuck Labano, still involving Matt Thompson and Jim Brewster. Deja vu to what we saw not terribly long ago, getting a move done around the outside through turn number 6. However, you still have Chuck Labano and Guido Marzucchi right within striking distance, so these drivers don't have a lot of wiggle room.
They do not at all. And yeah, Jim just said, okay, yeah, you made the move. I'm just going to hang behind you, see if you can keep the car on the gray stuff. And if you can't, then I'm going to take the spot back. But once again, I think Jim is just running to his pace and keeping the car clean and stable on the track, not making any mistakes. And Labano and Marzucchi have caught up to this group, so now we've got a 4-car battle here to close out the top 5.
Yeah, this is going to be a very good battle right to the end of this race. Jamison Huffman last time by, though, just set the fastest lap of the race, point blank, period. Soto, he's within striking, well, Huffman is now within striking distance of Soto, I should say. Had that the other way around, but Huffman, very quick, peaking at the right time with less than 4 minutes to go on the clock. He has reeled in Soto. That gap now about a 10.5 between those two drivers running P1 and P2. I jinxed it because it immediately doubles up to 3/10. Miles Crabb, though, is within striking distance as well. So that is a 3-car battle for the win in the final race of the season. As Soto running wide coming out of the keyhole. That is a big off-track moment for Josh Soto, keeping his foot pinned. Well done, bravery from the driver of the 07 car to keep it going in a straight line and do so flat out. That's not going to be the right strategy. Now drops down to third. It's now a heads-up fight between Huffman and Crabb for the lead.
Yep, as we're going to get on board here with Jamison Huffman as they're working he's going to work his way around Miles Crabb here to take over P2 as they come down the straightaway, working their way toward China Beach. And nice and easy, he was able to get that pass done before they even got to the braking zone. And now we're on board here with Josh Soto, and we'll catch him coming through the keyhole. It's like a good entry into the corner, and just just hydroplaned as soon as he hit the curb out there. Just too much standing water, and car the front end couldn't hold it, and so he's going to drop back down to P3, but still only 1 second between these 3 cars.
Yeah, it is still practically nothing between these racers, so there's no telling who's going to be able to grab the checkered flag at the end of all of this. Who knows? They may all get struck by a falling anvil, crash out, and we may see Matt Thompson grab the win at the end of all of this. He's currently the Pied Piper of this pack right behind. Look at that swapperoo between Chuck Labano and Jim Brewster heading all through turn 13. Labano swapping sides like he was flipping burgers down into that section, gets a move done. He'll slip his way up into 5th. Brewster dropping down to 6th. Marzucchi still the rear gunner in all of this, and Matt Thompson looking to pull away as best as he possibly can. Soto, though, getting back to that discussion of the drivers at the front, he has lost out a little bit of time, so I wonder if Josh Soto may have followed the story of Icarus, flew too close to the sun, and in the process of that, his wax wings are now a puddle on the floor.
Yeah, you never know. He may just be kind of collecting his thoughts here for a minute. I think we're going to be coming to the white flag on the next time by. So, or we may have taken it already, but I think we're going to be white flag next time. We'll see. But, he may just be collecting himself, getting ready for that final charge as we see the gap now has jumped between Crabb and Huffman.
And here we go. The fight is very much going to be in the hands of Jamison Huffman for the final stages of this race. About a minute on the clock, so I wonder if these drivers are going to be taking the checkered this time by or not. Either way, though, for Jamison Huffman, has a comfortable gap as it stands currently, and he's got 2 drivers who are fighting tooth and nail right behind him. Miles Crabb did grab the win for the last race of Group 2, the GT4s at Road America 1 week ago, so I'm not really sure if we could bring up the discussion talking about him not being able to get back into victory lane after a win earlier on. So he now has 2 wins. I'm sure he'd want to make it 3, but with not a lot of time left on the clock, I think the opportunities are running a little bit dry for Miles Crab, which ran this rain-soaked racetrack. Second tries a charm. It's really saying something. About 15 seconds to go on the clock right about now. It's going to be borderline as whether or not Huffman takes the checkered or the white this time by. It's going to be a matter of seconds, and that can make a huge difference in these races with these drivers very low on fuel. And, okay, I believe the white flag is in the air. They did not grab the checkered there. I wonder if Huffman was kind of preparing to grab the checkered. He moved to the inside line.
I think so. I think he moved to the inside thinking that he was going to get the checkered flag there, and it was about 3 seconds short of being able to claim it. So we got one more lap to settle it.
I wonder if we're going to have any Adam Thompson trophy recipients at the end of all this, potentially running out of gas. Would not rule that out when you have these timed races and a couple of seconds between it being a certain distance or another. These drivers like to cut it close with fuel. Obviously, just to get that competitive edge. They're not just doing that to give themselves slightly elevated blood pressure. It can really wreak havoc to the end of these races as we see a 3-car pack involving Andrew Love, Edgar Sancinelli, and Michelle Lynn, one of the series admins for the Formula V Weekend Warriors, along with Jim Brewster, currently finds himself in P6. But the battle up at the front, so very much on between Huffman, Crab, and Soto. Soto dropping down a little bit. It's now maybe just going to be a 2-horse race between Huffman and Crab, and I wonder how the fuel's looking on Jameson Huffman's car.
I was going to say, I'm thinking that might have something to do with Soto falling back. Was maybe he was looking and maybe under fueled just a little bit too much. Oh, they're going to get together. Oh no!
Oh, big crash!
Oh, they're all 3
together.
All
taken off upside down is Josh Soto. Didn't I say that Matt Thompson may be in the catbird seat to win this race? They've rejoined the racetrack, albeit after losing a boatload of time. Jameson Huffman, he's been able to take the lead in all of that, but his car is ready for the scrap heap, as is Miles Crab. I'm going to double check to see whether or not both those drivers have meatball flags. Neither of them do. iRacing being a little bit lenient in terms of those drivers picking up damage. Matt Thompson is going to be reeling in these drivers. If we had one more lap after this, I feel like it may be Matt Thompson's for the taking, but at the front of the field, and a very dramatic series of events, and possibly the most dramatic finish we've had all season long here from the Ray Esports Club Racing League. Jameson Huffman going to grab the final Formula V checkered flag of the season. Miles Crab going to come home in a damaged P2. Matt Thompson in a dramatic series of events going to round out your podium in 3rd, waiting for a couple of moments for Joshua Justice to cross the line in P7, likely to seal the deal in this Formula V championship. But holy cow, Charles, what a way to finish off the first race of the evening.
I mean, it's a good, finishing with a bang is the old saying, and I think that's what our leaders did for the race tonight. And yeah, it's a great job by Huffman because we got the onboard shot of him, and it was you definitely could see some left front suspension damage. So he was lucky that he was able to limp that car back around. Soto just towed. He said that was enough. Upside down's plenty for me tonight. And so a great ending to a great season. Another P2 for Miles Crab, and he's got his I think that fills up his collection for the year of P2s. He does have the 2 wins, so it's another good ending. He's just points hauling the entire season. So great job by him. And yeah, Thompson, Labano, Brewster finishes out your top 5. Guido just quite didn't make it up there. Decided he would finish in 6th instead.
And we're going to take a look at that drama. That was very much so overly opportunistic as far as I'm concerned for Miles Crab. Look at that, coming in for the kill with Josh Soto and all that. Let's take a look at this from Miles' perspective. He has the run.
Yeah, he had the run because Huffman kind of lost the rear of the car, and he just managed to catch it. But when he caught it, he was actually coming over right into Crab's line. And just nothing you can do, nothing Soto could do, because at that point you're trying to get back on the throttle. You're on basically a lake sitting in the middle of the track, and you're just basically, as soon as you hit the brakes, you're just skipping across like a flat rock on a smooth pond.
Yeah, I gotta say, upon further review of that incident, I think it could really square it on both drivers. The unfortunate bystander in all of that was Josh Sutton. I mean, granted, if he hit that same puddle, he was just gonna skid off the track, hit the grass, and then probably end up in the barrier. So it wasn't going to end well for him regardless, but probably wouldn't have resulted in a flip. You know, I was doing a show earlier on this evening where I said, I have a feeling there's going to be a flip tonight. Well, there wasn't one in that race that I was doing earlier on. However, there has been one here in the FVs, as here's the other side of Jason Grider, parked perpendicularly to Michelle Lynn.
Yeah, I think that's
that may be the correct term.
Yeah, I think their parts are connected. It's kind of like they're kind of turned themselves into a Reese's peanut butter cup at this point. Somebody got their chocolate in their peanut butter, so.
He got peanut butter in my chocolate. He got chocolate in my peanut butter. I think with all of that, I'm going to swiftly and abruptly move on from that. I think we are probably going to move off into some interviews. We've got some drivers looking to have a chat with us. Here are your results at the end of it all. And first driver I'm going to have a chat with is going to be the driver who walked away from that incident, not only unscathed, but also with the checkered flag. Going to be Jameson Huffman now joining us here in the commentary booth. Jameson, that was certainly an unexpected finish to this race. I want to ask you about your perspective in all of it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I got to look at the replay, but I don't. Frankly, I didn't think there was much room there or much sense behind that move, but it is what it is. We all ended up finishing, so.
Well, I will say Josh Soto did probably finish off his keyboard hitting Alt F4 as quickly as he did, but it was still a close finish between yourself and Miles Crab. The series of events that led to it, though, was probably not ideal, but still grabbing the checkered flag here at Mid-Ohio. And as you were saying in the iRacing chat before the drop of the green flag, this is your first iRacing rain race, is that correct?
Yeah, I've never run rain before. So this is, or never in iRacing. I've done it in real life a few times, but I haven't tried iRacing yet since they've added rain. So it was a big learning curve at the start of the race.
Yeah, what an introduction. I was actually joking during the show how the first time I ever got a chance to drive in the rain back in my karting days was at the SCCA Solo Nationals in 2016. So I guess we both kind of had the trial by firing squad, so to speak, when it comes to getting used to the rain. But how do you like it, man? How do you like this race?
It's very sketchy. Visibility wise, it's definitely realistic to Formula cars and open wheels, because you can't see anything if there's a car within 100 feet of you in front. So that's nice and realistic. But I can't really say too much grip feeling, because I've never been to Mid-Ohio in the wet, and every track is wildly different, so. But nonetheless, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it still looked like a whole lot of fun out there, and we'll say probably not envious of some of the heart rates that you drivers had throughout that race, but a little bit envious of the driving experience thrashing these always fun Formula Vs around here. But usually I would ask you about what are your thoughts heading into the next race of this championship, but we don't have a next race of this championship, so I'll just ask you the usual question: if there's anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out.
Of course, my parents to start, Stevie for putting on this league, you guys for broadcasting, and OG Racing.
Awesome, man. Getting those thanks and shouts out done to a streamline. Always love to see it. Jameson, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. Well done on the win, and excited to see you wherever it is in the not-too-distant future.
All right, thank you.
And that right there was your winner of Jameson Huffman. Second tries the charm. I was looking at Miles Crab up there in the interview waiting area, and got the names confused. Charles, I think we have a little bit of time for another chat. It's tough. I will let you though pick between the two men we have up there.
You know, as much as I want to talk to Jim, I'm going to bring Miles in here, and we'll bring our podium second place finisher in and have a chat, and then maybe both of us will just chat with Jim when he comes in. Miles, congratulations, P2. Very, very dramatic ending to that race today.
Sorry, I'm in the carousel qualifying. Yeah, I had the pace. I didn't know I was that good in the wet in the V, and yeah, I don't really understand what happened on that last lap. I took the risk. Jameson got a bad spin up coming out of the right hand at the bottom of the hill. I don't know the name, and I knew he was going to be wide, so I put it where he wasn't and was going to shoot it over the puddle, and he drove into the puddle to squeeze me and wrecked us, and still ended up winning. So that was, I was taking the risk of hydroplaning through the puddle and trying to get stopped before the corner, and he had the dry line, and I don't quite understand what happened there.
Yeah, it was. It definitely looked like maybe he was just trying to get the car corrected after that spin up, and just kind of naturally kind of moved to the right. And honestly, I don't think, you know, we talk about how clean you guys race week in and week out, so I don't think there was any intentional blocking or attempt to a block or anything like that. I think it's just part of rain racing that the car doesn't always do what you want it to do.
No, it doesn't. And yeah, we were all wiggling. I squeezed him a couple times under braking into China Beach just on accident. And I had my one off, or the one big off, was me dodging Josh when he did the same thing, hit the puddle. There's a big old puddle right as you crest that hill, and if you drop a wheel in it, if you put 4 in it, it's fine, but if you put 1 in it, it pulls the car sideways. So yeah, no, that was fun. That was the longest 30-minute race I've ever done, and I'm waiting on them to join, because currently I'm on pole, and that shouldn't be right.
Okay, well, we'll let you get to it, and it sound like you're already in the SRF qualifying, so we'll let you get to that and let you give a thank or a shout out before you get going.
Yeah, I'll do the first one first. Hi, Jessica. Thank you for quieting the dogs down earlier, and I will see y'all in this next race.
All right. Congrats, Miles. We'll see you in the next race.
And that right there was Miles Crabb, your P2 finisher at the end of this Formula V race. So we gotta quickly and abruptly move on to those Spec Racer Fords. As you just heard, qualifying is underway for the final race of this Ray Esports Club Racing League season. So we'll be right back after these messages.
slowing crest, 40, 1 left. Caution to 2 right short to 5.
Introducing the Sim Motion Rally Sequential Shifter. Our shifter is specifically designed for sim racing enthusiasts who want to enhance their experience in the rally world using a push-pull system. Compatible with wheelbases like the Sim Magic Alpha series, B&M Direct Drive, Fanatic, and SimiCube, it can easily be installed in minutes. It also has the adjustability to suit any wheel or driver's needs. It's also plug and play with titles like Dirt Rally, iRacing, and WRC. Available now at sim-motion.com. SimMotion has teamed up with iRacing and V&M Simulation with an extreme prize package for Season 4. To win, painting a car with a SimMotion logo, racing 10 official iRacing events, and you are entered to win an extreme direct drive and GT wheel bundle. But that's not all. Compete in the Formula 1600 Fixed Series, win your division, and you could score this set of pedals. Gear up and get racing. The rewards are waiting. With years of experience and a passion for customer service, SimMotion is a trusted name for SimMagic products. Whether you're just getting started or a seasoned pro, we have the gear to get you on the podium. At SimMotion, we don't just sell gear, we feel your passion for sim racing.
Hey everybody, we are back for the final race of this Ray Esports Club Racing League season. This adventure that began all the way back on October the 30th last year is now set to come to a conclusion in the next 30 minutes. This is the Spec Racer Ford race, the final race here for group number 3 in the final round of this championship. It's myself, Ron Maunz, and Charles Bushell on the call. Josh Wilkie working on the cameras in the virtual production hall, and also working the microphone a little bit earlier on as our colleague Mr. Charles Bushell got caught up in some traffic trying to come into mid-Ohio. I mentioned earlier on, it's an old school venue, so the roads are rather narrow. In the sim racing world, though, the roads are certainly not narrow, and to traverse them very well, as these drivers will look to try and do, you gotta have some good equipment. And thankfully, all throughout this season, we have had a pretty good equipment sponsor and just a wonderful partner to have here in the Ray Esports world, because tonight's broadcast, as it has been all season long here of the Ray Esports Club Racing League on Slow Motion Broadcasting, is brought to you by SimMotion. SimMotion is a store by sim racers for sim racers, carrying everything from bun boxes to steering wheels and the best brands from the sim racing world, including SimMagic, Moza, Husingveld, and many, many more. With decades of experience in the industry, SimMotion is a great choice for sim racers in North America and Europe looking to upgrade their simulators. If you'd like to check out what SimMotion has to offer, go to us.sim-motion.com. That is us.sim-motion.com. SimMotion is not only the sponsor of the official Formula 1600 series here on iRacing, but is a proud partner of the Ray Esports Club Racing League. And feel free to use discount code RAY5 at checkout for some very sweet discounts. We would like to thank SimMotion for their generous support all throughout this season, and a couple of shouts out to all the people at SimMotion, including their main man, Darren Ganji, who was an absolute legend supporting this series and making these broadcasts possible ever since that first one back in late October all the way through to this one right before the start of mid-April. But we're right about to get the final race of this season underway. And ooh, we have some beef brewing here between Miles Crab and Jameson Huffman. They did not have a very good finish to that Formula V race. They're going to be starting the Spec Racer Ford race from the pole. And it will be Miles Crab starting from the pole. Jameson Huffman set to join him on the front row. Charlie Vaccaro will start in P3 next to Joshua Justice, your Formula V champion here from Group 3. Edgar Sancinelli will start in 5th. Matt Thompson in 6th. We have Jim Brewster starting in P7. Seth Spolman will start in 8th. Chuck Labonte Albano in 9th with Aaron Bray, set to round out our top 10.
Yeah, finishing up the grid, Randy Marino in 11th, Mike Key in 12th, Joaquin Effinger in 13th, and Trenton Kramer rounding out your 14-car grid. That's, small grid, but we're going to have some good racing because, as you said, Crabb and Huffman, 1-2 finished, accident on the final lap of the Formula V race. Will be starting on the front row side by side, so it'll be drama from the drop of the green flag.
And along with all of that drama, we have to think about some championship-related drama to discuss as well. Nicholas Rice-Puto enters this race 104 points on the board compared to 76 for his main championship rival in the form of Joshua Justice. Nicholas Rice-Puto is not here tonight, so I wonder. It's a rather big gap for sure. I think 30 points are on offer, so that's going to be a rather big ask for Josh Justice. But the green flag is out for the final race of the season, and the drivers are on their way, heading down that start-finish straightaway into turn number 1. Who's going to lead them heading off into turn number 1? Will it be Crabb or will it be Huffman? Look at Justice right behind in the number 99 car. He has championship aspirations, trying to make his way up into the podium spots. He's going to be able to do so, heading his way off through the chicane, but he's still not giving up yet. Just got moved on a Miles Crabb to slip his way up to second.
Yep, absolutely. Ooh, a little bit of curb there. We got a couple cars off. That is, looks like Jameson Huffman off, coming out of the chicane there, going into the keyhole, as well as I think also maybe Seth Spolman also got a little wide there as well. Noticeably, Charlie Vaccaro did not start the race on the grid. He started from the pits after a top 4. And decided, you know what, I'm just going to stay out here. I'm going to start from the pits, and I'm going to try and work my way from the back.
And whether or not that is a good call or not will remain to be determined. For now, though, these drivers heading their way off through the tight and twisties in the mid-sector of this racetrack. Following Randy Marino right now in the number 16 machine as his way off down into Thunder Valley in a couple of moments' time. Out of the S's into 11 and 10 and 11 has a good move on Chuck Labana. They're still side by side though, heading through that section. And actually, I say that was Chuck Labana. That was Mike Key that he got a move done on. So you can tell that my eyes work about as well as eyes as my feet would work as eyes.
Ooh. Crabb looking on the inside there, coming out of that final little carousel. Justice manages to hang on to the lead, so he's going to lead the first lap. And the gap, obviously, you were mentioning it earlier. I think they get bonus points for leading laps and leading the most laps and incident-free, races. So Justice is going to try and do his best to see and collect as many points as he can tonight. Oh, okay. Oh, spin there for the 57. That's Santinelli around coming out of the keyhole. Doesn't make any contact. It doesn't appear. Looks like that car is still clean, so he's going to be able to gather that up and get back out on the track.
And yet again, my mic being muted as I thought I was going out on the air. I feel like I need a beeper for every single time that I have my mic muted, but that was a big moment for Santinelli. Another moment for Justice heading all through the keyhole. I could hear as we were following Miles Crabb a little bit of tire screeching, and that's the reason why Justice running wide hang through that chicane got him all sorts of screwed up into the keyhole of turn number 4, and that's the end result. That's going to cause him to drop down to P2. Let's take a look at this. Oh yeah, you can see that chicane is so tricky to try and get right, and Justice not getting it right at all.
Yeah, it was because we don't run. We'll run it maybe once a year. I think that's it. And so a lot of drivers won't get as much practice on the chicane version of Mid Ohio because we run normally with just a normal. Oh, there's a spin there, and that was some contact, and that was the 89 car of Jameson Huffman that managed to clip the back of Santinelli there as they were coming out of the keyhole, and that's what caused his spin. So yeah, I think the chicane version of that first sector there is a little tough to get used to. So a lot of people don't drive that very often, and I think that's probably the reason that you're seeing a couple of these faster cars that are struggling just a bit.
And got a chance to take a look at that replay to see that moment for Jameson Huffman. using not the chrome horn. It's a Spec Racer Ford using the fiberglass horn coming out of turn number 4. I like how we both immediately went to the exact same point. I will also raise a little bit frazzled here at the present moment as we're seeing we're seeing a move there from Jameson Huffman to slip his way in front of Jim Brewster. I have some lights up, decorative lights here in my room, and they got clicked onto different moods. They are flashing like crazy at the present moment, so I'm going to try and get that sorted out before my brain decides to give out on me.
If we hear a lot of banging from your microphone, we'll know it's a seizure kicking in. But we'll be all right here. We'll keep an eye on this race as Lobano is now up to 7th place. He's made up a couple positions. Brewster running in 6th, as we just saw him getting passed by Jameson Huffman, who is on the charge, trying to get back up to the front of the field. He felt like he had some good pace at the start, qualified 2nd. So now he's going to see if he can get back up there and maybe challenge those guys up front for a race victory, a 2nd race victory for tonight. As we now still on here with Lobano, as we see Crab with the fastest lap of the race, only about a 100th of a second faster than Justice. So still very tight up at the front of the field.
And as we take a look at them.
Okay, there we go. Yep, making sure you're still back. Yep,
we are good to go. I had to, in that period of time, get sorted out, and then before then, taking a video to try and show my perspective and all that, because, oh boy, that was an interesting experience, to be sure. It's like doing a broadcast from some sort of disco from the 1980s. So take a look at a moment for Trent Kramer and his perspective and all that. Look at that, the pass in the grass. Kramer squeaking his way through all of that, and holy cow.
That was a brave move by Kramer on the outside there. Just basically two tires off in the grass, trying to make that move around those cars. As they were slowed from the contact, was able to safely and successfully get that pass made, and he's up to P4.
Yeah, that was a rather good move there from Trent Kramer. Usually I would, if it was me out there, it would be a move about as slick as 80 grit sandpaper, but that was smooth stuff from Trent Kramer. I don't think he intended to do something like that, but hey, I mean, he went for it anyways, so, you know. If it works, it works. I guess that's a good mindset to have. Potentially, maybe not. I don't know, potentially. But as we continue to see this race develop, now 6.5 minutes in, it's Miles Crab in front of Josh Justice, in front of Matt Thompson. We're gonna take a look at some drama that happened right at the very beginning of this race. This is Aaron Bright in the 6th car, heading his way down that start-finish straightaway. I believe he's been a hard charger in the early stages. You can see Trent Kramer giving him a bit of a bump, drafting down that start-finish straightaway off into turn number 1. Stuck on the outside line through all of that, which is not the good line to be in at all. But I think he managed to pick his way through the smoke and the drama at the very beginning and actually make up some spots.
Yeah, absolutely. Had a good start to the race. And as we see him, as we switch back to the race lead, Miles Crab up there, only a 0.7 of a second gap to Justice. And he'll pick up probably 0.2 coming down this straightaway just from the draft of these cars. We haven't really talked about it yet. But these cars are very draft happy. They like to be in behind another car, and they'll pick up quite a bit of time down these straightaways. There's a couple of good ones. Obviously, that one is probably the longest one on the track, with a little bit of a kink in the middle to it, but it's still it's flat out for these cars. It doesn't matter. So you'll see that that gap kind of wax and wane a little bit there as the graph kicks in during certain parts of the race.
Yeah, and as we continue to see this race develop and ever so slightly settle into a groove, we'll mention some news that came out of slow motion broadcasting here a couple of days ago. At this point, I think it was 3 days ago. At this point, a rather important milestone here on the Slow Motion Broadcasting YouTube channel as we officially broke 1,000 subscribers here on SMB. Thank you to all of you who have hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But that is an absolutely incredible milestone. I remember from my own personal YouTube adventures back in, it was March of 2023, right as I was starting my broadcasting stuff, was right about the time that my own YouTube channel hit 1,000 subscribers, and I remember being completely over the moon, and I felt that same sense of elation when SMB hit it a couple of days ago. For anyone who isn't really aware, it's myself and Mr. Wilkie who handle the other content side of things here on SMB. So any of those full-length videos or the YouTube shorts that you just so happen to see here on the Slow Motion Broadcasting YouTube channel probably came out of one of us, and it has been absolutely wonderful to see the support growing here. It was 3 years to the day that the Slow Motion Broadcasting YouTube channel broke 100 subscribers, that we were able to break 1,000. So to all of you tuning into this broadcast, thank you all so very much for the continued support. We got a lot of racing action to look forward to. The brand new Extreme Motorsports and IndyCar Championship that we will be able to bring you on Thursday nights in about a month's time. Lots of stuff to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. There's good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. I think we actually have a new graphic for that brand new IndyCar series. There we go. Yeah, talk about a good schedule. Portland, Indy with the road course and the oval, Long Beach, Barber, Auto Club, Daytona, and Gateway to bring that 8-round championship to a conclusion. You'll be able to catch all of that action exclusively here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And nice to see an IndyCar league. First off, the people at Extreme Motorsports, absolute wonderful people. I'm a little bit familiar with the way they usually run their operations. I used to be part of their race control for some of the road course series that they organize on Monday nights, and they are absolutely fantastic people, and that is a brilliant schedule, staying true to the roots. All of those tracks have hosted at least one IndyCar race. Yes, even including Daytona.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be that's a good schedule. I know which is my favorite, obviously, but you know, it's but yeah, it's a good schedule, and it's great to see. It's great to see us growing, picking up a new league in the week during the week, and so it's some nice open wheel action. The Indy cars on those tracks is going to be fantastic. We'll give a shout out here to Mr. Charlie Vaccaro, who set a good quality time up in P3 and is now climbing back at Jim Brewster. He's up to 8. He's only 10 seconds back from the lead, and I think he was at least 15 seconds, 20 seconds back from the start of the and there's the commentator curse kicking in as we're speaking about it. Charlie, I'm very, very sorry. We have the same name, and it's just, it's just terrible. I apologize profusely.
I will say, though, and this is honest, Charles, firstly, I've pulled off worse in reference to commentator Shinx's, and secondly, I feel like if I ever called you Charlie on one of these broadcasts, you would proceed to take a flight up here to Philadelphia to personally kick my ass, as we're going to take a look at a moment to see this mode here.
No, actually, Charlie's fine. I don't have a problem with that. As we are sitting on board here with Vaccaro, the Charlie Vaccaro variety, behind Jim Brewster, they're coming out of Thunder Valley. It just looked like he just maybe missed a braking point, or just kind of under braked. Maybe Jim broke a little earlier than what he expected, and had to take a little emergency evasion there, kind of kick it off the tire barrier and then back out on the track. So lost himself about 3 seconds on the track, but he's back out there, and he's going to see if he can make up that time again.
And now I'm going to try my best to give an educated guess, that kind of rhyme there, about the championship situation involving Josh Justice. First off, he is dealing with a hell of a lot of pressure from Matt Thompson and Trent Kramer right behind. But as it stands presently, with Nicholas Rice-Puto not being here, even though he's running second at the moment, I don't believe it would be enough to usurp Rice-Puto in that championship here in the Spec Race Awards. Knowing our luck, though, we will probably be able to, I say we, I'm not going to drag you two and all this. Knowing my luck, I will probably get played like a fiddle and have that be absolutely 100% factually incorrect. So stay tuned to the Racing Line podcast this upcoming Wednesday with Eric Luke, one of the drivers in the Spec Race Florida Weekend Warriors Series being there. And Charles, you were on that yesterday, as we see a moment for Matt Thompson losing out on some time. May do a little bit of bump drafting here with Kramer, but you were on that show yesterday. So how did you enjoy that fourth seat? It's nice. They got some Tempur-Pedic cushions on it.
Yeah, it really is nice. I really enjoyed it. No, we had, I got a little chat with Stevie before the broadcast started. Then everybody just kind of jumped in, and we just hit the ground running. Got to watch the replays from the races over the weekend. I'd already kind of watched the Weekend Warriors, except for I did not get to watch the V's, unfortunately, but I got a chance to watch the highlights of that. Fantastic race at Summit Point as usual. It is a car track combo. Summit Point, I think, is my favorite of all the tracks, and I did say that last night on the air. I did leave out a couple. Mid-Ohio is actually one of them. I think these cars suit this track very well. And I didn't mention Willow Springs, which is just every time we go there, it's just fantastic racing.
I will say one more thing about that podcast appearance. I appreciated the subtle little rib kick right at the start of the interview section. It's like, man, I love doing those Weekend Warriors broadcasts, even with Ron.
Yeah,
that was absolutely brilliant. You can tell I get out of bed in the morning with a smile on my face.
Yeah, we kid because we care, Ron, and so if I wasn't picking you a little bit, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be doing my job properly. So no, I've been very blessed in my short broadcast career to work with some fantastic people, and you're one of those fantastic people. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I'll keep doing this as long as you guys want to keep me around.
Yeah, fantastic in the sense I start speaking in tongues more often than not on the air. That's the only way I could really describe it. We got a nice little battle forming here.
Yeah.
Now 4-car battle, in fact. You can see Jameson Huffman involved in all that. I think there's googly eyes on the front of that car. Or my eyes deceiving me yet again. They very much, most likely, most definitely, probably are. That was a lot of words there. Span of a couple of moments, you're going to see some side-by-side racing involving Josh Justice and Matt Thompson. That's heading off into turn number 6, and ignoring that voice crack from me, as I said, turn number 6. And there we go. That's a nice move from Justice.
Yep, and yeah, we didn't mention that Kramer is now in P2. He's got by Justice. He's taken that second position as we're on board there with Jameson Huffman, who's managed to catch up to that almost of the lead group. Miles Crabb has done a great job thus far in the race. He's got himself about 3.5 second lead. Ooh.
And as we jump to the live action there, you can see, holy cow, okay, that is not the right strategy to go through there. And I'm not really sure what way I could describe that moment from Jameson Huffman other than holy shiitake mushrooms.
Yeah, bump draft gone wrong. That's basically what that was. I guess there's a little bit of room there coming out of Thunder Valley that you got to straight away. You can do a little bump drafting on, but I think that was a little bit later than maybe Jameson would have wanted to do had he thought about it a little further. And you get into those final couple of corners at the carousel, and it's that's not the place you want to be, kind of bumping the guy in front as he's trying to get his braking right to get the car to get around the corner properly.
I gotta say, Jameson Huffman, he is kicking faces in and taking names. He just gave a small little nudge to Matt Thompson, hanging his way off through turn number 7 a couple of moments ago. Matt Thompson in the Guinness Mobile. Actually, we'll double check to it to make sure that's the exact same. Yeah, it is the exact same car that's going out here. I will not speak any more on record for that, because at least as it stands for the next 8 months and 11-ish days, I am still not of legal drinking age here in the United States. So I will swiftly and abruptly move on to the Mustard Mobile of Edgar Sancinelli.
But that's the Guinness non-alcoholic version on that livery. We're on here now with Edgar Sancinelli running in P10 right behind Aaron Bray. So this is a battle for position, still kind of heating up, and Edgar has done a great job tonight. He's down a few positions from that early little issue that he had in the early laps, but he's done well. Just keep the car in, and he's now got a chance to see if he can find a way around Aaron Bray here to get another spot and try and cut his losses a little further as we're working their way up into the chicane.
Yeah, and you can see a little bit of damage on the front of Edgar Sentinelli's car and all that. That's not going to help out his cause one bit. Here's some side-by-side racing that may flare up involving Jameson Huffman and Josh Justice. They are single file for now, heading off into turn number 6 and 7. Justice and Huffman. This is going to be, I will say, they are very good drivers. Do not get me wrong. They can also break out the chrome horn, or actually in this case, it being the Spec Racer Ford, the fiberglass horn. They occasionally break it out from time to time. They are aggressive racers. They will get the job done and try and take advantage of every single opportunity that falls into their lap. So I think a battle between these two, with Josh Justice maybe being a bit more on the conservative side as they nearly come to blows, heading off through turn number 14 of the carousel. This may end up being a meeting of an unstoppable force and an immovable object.
Yeah, maybe so. Huffman's obviously being very aggressive, trying to get back up to the front, and he's managed to get back up to P3 after a front row start. And he's got he's probably not looking in the rear view as much as he is looking forward, trying to see if he can make up some time on Kramer in second. As they're still losing time to Crab up front. The gap is now over 4.5 seconds. So Crab is still running really, really good laps. I think the last lap he was, it's not the fastest lap of the race, because I'm going to guess he had an off track, but it was his fastest lap of the race overall. So he's having himself, there you go. There's the fastest lap, is actually about 1.5 off of Jameson Huffman's fastest lap overall with a 134.67. So yeah, so having a really good run, 34.8 is a good lap time. It's making it very difficult for these guys to make up any ground on him.
And not a lot of time left to go in this race as well. As you can see, running very wide is Matt Thompson. That's a big moment for the Guinness Mobile, going with the green grass coming through Thunder Valley. That section is one of the other parts of this racetrack that has been changed ever since this track originally opened many, many moons ago. And take a look at a moment for Thompson in this 08 car. And yeah, as the track falls away from you, the grip tends to do the same, and Matt Thompson learning that the hard way. Yeah,
there's not as much grip out there in the grass. There's more than there used to be, thankfully, or we would have had a much worse race in the form of these with the old green ice that iRacing had out there. But yeah, these guys are doing a great job, and it's a little bit off, obviously, just trying to push the limits of the car and push the limits of the track, and just overdid it just a little bit there, but no harm, no foul. Still moving forward, still in that group, battling for that top 5.
I'll tell you what, the phrase "no harm, no foul." Imagine telling that to a Philadelphia 76ers fan thus far this season. That's part of the reason why I rarely, if ever, follow sports outside of racing. It's basically racing, and then I occasionally watch baseball and football. That's about it. If I want to tune into hockey, I don't know what team I would root for, because I'm not very familiar with the NHL. Our Canadian producer, Mr. Wilkie, probably knows a lot more about hockey than I probably ever will. All I know is in the wise world of a great philosopher named Billis Burr, the Flyers haven't won shift since Gerald Ford was in office. And I remember tuning into the local Philadelphia news radio, KYW News Radio 1060, as they used to call it. It's now 103.9 FM. I don't know why that information is relevant for this story's sake, but I will share it anyways, because that's how my brain works. I remember just hearing one time in the car that like 98% of the 76ers players, 98, whatever the number was, some high number in the 90s percentage of their players were on an injury roster. I'm not an expert when it comes to basketball. I feel like they may need to start playing on bubble wrap courts instead of ones made of wood, but, very good reason why I'm a racing commentator instead of a basketball commentator. Side-by-side racing going on involving Trent Kramer and Justin Huffman. Thankful for these drivers, getting me out of having to talk more about Philadelphia sports teams being terrible, as continue to go side-by-side off into turn number 7. Trent Kramer in the 444 car trying to wheel his way past the 89. This is tense.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight battle up here as Huffman has managed to catch up to Kramer, and they're battling through Thunder Valley. And you could just see Huffman just looking for a way to get around him. It's kind of looked to the inside there before they came out of that right-hander. Couldn't quite make the car stick on the inside, so he had to kind of just settle in. And he'll be looking for that run probably down out of Keyhole down into China Beach. He's up there now within a half second, so he should be getting a good draft off the lead car.
We see these drivers start to spread out a little bit all throughout this field and enter the final 6 minutes of this season. It has been a season of some absolutely brilliant racing action here in the Ray Esports Club Racing League world. We've had, up to this point now, 5 season finales. Group 1 featured the season finale for the Mazda Manias, as I think bad time for me to talk about some of the other stuff that's been going on all throughout the season. These drivers are like, hey, Ron, you're talking about some of the other stuff? Let's go side by side just about everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. There, you could just see Thompson doing everything he can do just to stay in front of Huffman. In front of Justice, and likewise Kramer staying on the inside. He's taking the defensive line, trying to stay out there in front of Huffman. Huffman's going to hang it around the outside, switch to the inside. He's going to make that pass. Ooh, nice over-under by Kramer. Very slick move there. Manages to hang on to that P2, but that was a great little series of corners by both of those drivers.
Yeah, quick lesson to any broadcasters out there. Make sure that you try and do your general season plugs when the racing has fully cooled off, because clearly it had not by the time these drivers battled tooth and nail heading off through that section. That right there, that was just a well-composed drive from Trent Kramer. Jameson Huffman very fast, but he has been a bit of a... He's been a man on a mission in a rather interesting way here at Mid-Ohio, especially in these Spec Racer Fords. He's been going for lunges and dives, which, granted, from our perspective in the commentary booth, is rather exciting to see. But he's also been going for some lunges and dives that I don't think would not be recommended by most others.
I would say not, but he did a good job. He just kind of overshot that corner. Kramer allowed Kramer to get back to the inside and make that repass, and now he's got a good run coming out of Keyhole. Let's see if he makes a move. Kramer's probably going to go defensive again, and does, so he's going to have to make that move on the outside again and try and make it stick before they get to the top of the hill.
And here we go. They're going side by side right behind him, but this is a battle we got our eyes on. Side by side, heading down into turn number 6. That right there is Trent Kramer in the 444 car remaining in P2, but Jameson Huffman has something to say about on the inside line now through turn number 7, swapping back to the outside into 8, and Kramer in that 444 car with that number 20 on the side. He's going to get that move done. That livery that you see on it is the one that matches a Mini Cooper that he runs in real life with Grass Paddock Motorsports. And we have a chat with Trent Kramer. I will give the floor to him so he can mention all that. May not want to talk about Trent Kramer too much more, because I feel like every single time we mention a good run that he's doing on, I say whenever I mention a good run that he's doing on, he immediately gets struck by falling anvils. That's Randy Marino getting struck with one hang through the keyhole.
Yeah, I think he maybe blinded himself with his chrome paint as he was coming through that corner and just kind of lost. Yes, he just lost the rear of the car coming through Keyhole. We've seen it happen 100 times today, so it's one of those things that will get you. That corner is, for whatever reason, just difficult. I don't know. Maybe it's the elevation change kind of in the middle. You're having to kind of brake on a downhill to try and get yourself around. But good job to hold it. I keep it from going in too deep, and is back out on the track as we're on here now with Charlie Vaccaro and Jim Brewster. Charlie's still trying to get that pass made. Looks at we got to the inside that time. Jim couldn't quite get over quick enough to make the block, and looks like Charlie's going to get that position.
And as they headed their way off into the braking zone of turn number 6, Charlie Vaccaro getting that move done to slip his way up another spot. We are now in the final 2 minutes of not just this race, but this season. What a season it has been. The likes of Ryan Campbell, Michelle Squire, Jake Sneddon have been crowned champions thus far. Josh Justice was declared our champion in the Formula Vs, and it looks like Nicholas Rice-Puda, despite the fact he's not even here tonight, is probably going to win it here in the Spec Race Awards. But what a season, what an adventure it has been from the Ray Esports Club Racing League. When this season started off all the way back one day before Halloween, a lot of stuff has changed since then. I haven't gotten a haircut. I'm now 20 compared to 19 when this season started, but despite the fact those aren't many big changes, there's a lot of stuff going on ever since then. We've gone through pretty much the entirety of the fall, the entirety of the winter, and are now knocking on the door, actually already in spring, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere of 2025. And all of you who have been tuning into these broadcasts and being loyal members of the chat week in and week out, genuinely, we cannot appreciate you enough here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Your continued support is absolutely wonderful. Miles Crabb, who we've talked about a lot throughout the season as being the bridesmaid, never the bride. It looks like he's going to be getting his ring here tonight. It's not going to be a championship, but it's going to be a win. Maybe righting the wrongs of what happened at the end of that Formula V race earlier on. He is going to be happy with it. But side-by-side racing involving the drivers right behind him. That's Kramer on the inside off into turn number 6. Jameson Huffman trying to sweep around the outside, hold on to the inside line now into turn number 7. I have a feeling this is going to get physical, and it does get physical coming out of turn 7. That is still the inside line for Kramer. This is where it came to blows involving Huffman during that Formula V race, and it doesn't go that way this time. That's Kramer back in Abbott. He's now going to be the tail car heading through the... Oh, contact being made. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I think,
is that a disqualification?
Yep, that it was. Jameson up and just got whacked with a DQ right towards the end of this race. He is going to be ticked off if ever you've seen it. But for Miles Crabb, he is going to be jubilant, taking the final checkered flag of this season. Miles Crabb wins it here in the Spec Racer for Trent Kramer, going to finish in second in all of that. Joshua Justice, who will not be our champion, we believe, at the end of the season, is going to finish third here in the Spec Racer Ford race. And I'm going to hold off on that point. Side by side with Edgar Sancinelli. There's a close battle with himself and Aaron Bray heading off through the final series of corners. You can see Mr. Frito himself with the car ready for the scrap heap and spinning, heading off through the corner. That was synchronized spinning with himself, and I believe that was Seth Spolman that he could just barely see in the back of shot. That right there was rather funny. Some synchronized spinning heading down into the final series of corners at the end of this race. But spare a thought for Jameson Huffman in the 89 car. That is a kick in the shins if ever you see one.
Yeah, that's about as I don't want to say that's as bad as the last one, because I think obviously we didn't see a lot of as he's working his way back up through the field. Obviously this battle with Trent Kramer was fantastic. I don't think that they made enough contact that he was going to get all of his incident points from this, but obviously you saw the one little touch there and it was just enough to kick him over the limit. But obviously he might have did a little track exploration on his way back up through the field, so that probably had as much to do with it as anything else. But Miles Crabb gets the victory, the last race of the season, so well done to Miles. Trent Kramer drove a great race up 12 positions. That was absolutely fantastic driving. It's some of the best racing we've seen this season between him and Jameson Huffman. Josh Justice gives up the final spot on the podium in third.
And what a way to bring this season to a conclusion. Oh, wow. That may have been good Lord above. That right there was a takedown if ever I saw it from Aaron Bray. Wow, okay, I will thank Aaron Bray for saving me there, because I was about to apologize for a voice crack that may have made a chihuahua named Princess explode. Wow, that may have been one of the most violent impacts I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, you can see him already starting to get lined up here, and Bray just flies in.
Holy cow.
He was in the air when he that car that was sitting there. And this is the end of the season, so junk the cars, we'll rebuild it, get ready for next season. And you know, if somebody can get me off of my side, that would be great. Thank you very much. Yeah, so great ending to a race, great battling on the track. Just love to see it, and it was a fitting end to a great season. Oh, that just looks terrible. But you know, hey, thanks and shout out to all the drivers for putting on such a great show all season long. You know, one of the changes was I wasn't here when this season started, so there's that. So I've enjoyed covering these races, and thanks to Stevie with Esports and Slow Motion for allowing me to come in and have a little time during the week to talk about these cars and these drivers on the track, and always fun.
Yeah, I gotta say, honestly, Charles, it was nice to have you in the commentary booth for the second half of this season, and no discredit to Mr. Wilkie and the production hauler who started the first half of the season commentating this series with me. He was always doing a good job and all of that. Gotta feel bad for Josh, not only having to keep track of a series as hectic as this, also having to deal with me, which is basically like commentating a race with Bugs Bunny as your booth mate. So that's the way that I personally see it.
Ron, I don't know if you watch these races back, but we put, it's almost Easter, so we put an egg out there, so when you find it, you can chew me out because I'm the one that built it. So hey, there's that.
Yeehaw! That's all I gotta say at the end of that. Is yeehaw! Let's get the final results page loaded up here from this Ray Esports Club Racing League season. We got some drivers looking to have some chat, and I have some words before we bring this season to a conclusion. Miles Crab is your race winner. Trent Kramer finishes in P2. Josh Justice rounds out your podium in third. Matt Thompson going to finish in fourth. Chuck Labano rounds out your overall top 5. We have Charlie Vaccaro in sixth. Jim Brewster in P7, Aaron Bray, Edgar Sancinelli, Mike Key rounding out your top 10, and the final drivers did not grab the checkered flag. That includes Jameson Uppman, who got whacked with a disqualification right towards the end. Hey, he won the Formula V, so it's not a completely fruitless evening for him. He finishes in 11th. Seth Spolman finishes in 12th. Joaquin Effinger is class in P13, and Randy Marino finishes in 14th at the end of this race. A race which had a rather low attrition rate. Look at that, Marino being the lowest classified driver. We saw him throughout a decent chunk of that race, only finished 3 laps down at the end of it all. But Charles, I am going to pass the buck off to you and let you pick who you want to have a chat with first.
Well, you know, normally we would select our winner, but since I just talked to Miles, I'll save him for you. So I'll bring in one Mr. Josh Justice, and we'll have a chat with him. And Josh, P3 tonight. Don't think you quite made the championship step for the season, but probably going to end up second. But a great season all the way around for you.
Yeah, I think I did get in Formula V though.
You did indeed. Yeah, I was talking about the Spec Racer. So yeah, you won the championship in the Formula V. I think you ended up second in the Spec Racer Ford, but I'm not counting the points, so I don't hold me to that.
Okay, well, that sounds right, because Nicholas had 126 points, and I had 76 or something, so it would have been borderline impossible for me to catch him, even if I won the race. I don't think I could have caught him. He just had too many outright wins, while I had, one win and a podium. But yeah, this was a good race. It really, the Formula V race, I was just sitting there and basically just trying to take care of my car because I only needed a top 10. We'll go away when I spun that one time, but I recovered it. Again, this way, I knew, I was pretty sure going in I was completely eliminated from the point, so I was just trying to finish as high as I could.
Right.
And, try to win the race. I almost kept up with Miles, but he put down an absolute monster of a lap on lap 3 or 4. And I had just run just a little bit wide in the final turn for a couple laps on the cold tire, and he just ran away from me from there. I couldn't stay in the draft. And once he got away from me, then it was just about trying to stay as high as I could in the race and finish as far forward as I could. And, I struggled a little bit in a couple of turns, but I like the track, I like the car, I drive the car in real life, and ever since the update, it drives a lot more like the real car. I've never been to Mid Ohio, but it's a fun track to drive in the sim. I struggle a bit in the Thunder Valley setting in the final turn, but fun rate, fun battling. Had a good rate with who was it? The Gannett car. Can't think who was driving it at the minute, but that was a good battle. Couldn't get back up in Trenton. I was really hoping when Jameson and Trenton started fighting that I kept them, but they were running like the same exact lap time I was, side by side. So, really good driving on their part. It's a shame what happened to Jameson. I didn't know he was in incident point trouble.
Yep.
But yeah, good racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, obviously great season by you. Like I said, P2 in the championship, get the P3 tonight. We'll let you give any thanks or shout outs before we let you go. And obviously, I think we'll see you next season without a doubt. And it's always fun to chat with you and get a chance to watch you race.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously with winning Formula V, I want to give a shout out to the guys at Bigger Hammer Racing down here in Texas. They went into Formula V, and I've driven their rental V's a couple times. They have a fleet of, I want to say Bill had like 20 V's. A lot of them belong to a customer, but he has 5 or 6 that he rents out. And, they do the vintage racing school, where you can't get on track with FTCA from it, but it is recognized. CVAR is recognized by the BMC, so FVRA and all the BMC clubs do recognize their the vintage racing license. So you can definitely win a car. If you come down to Texas, win Formula V and get a vintage racing license. They do 1 or 2 schools a year, I think. So yeah, great. Shout out those guys. And I'll see you next time next season. Yeah,
all right. All right, Josh. Congratulations. We'll see you next season. Josh Justice with the P3 tonight, 2nd place in the championship in the Spec Racer, and our Formula V champion.
And I think I am going to drag in our winner at the end of all of this. Miles Kreb is now going to be joining us in the commentary booth. Miles, it's the win here in the Spec Racer Fords, and hopefully that makes up for the slight bit of frustration and disappointment from that Formula V race earlier on.
Yeah, that was a little bit of driving angry. Yeah, turns out when you spend 30 minutes practicing having no grip and you join a session that's nuclear hot, you're suddenly kind of okay with the car sliding everywhere. I just happened to glance at the track temp so for those of y'all playing along at home, it's supposed to be raining right now, but because iRacing doesn't have rain tires for the SRF, it like overflows and goes to the other side, and it's stupid hot and sunny. And it got a lot hotter between qualifying. We lost half a second. I was doing additional practice laps at the end of qualifying, and I was doing 43.3s by myself. And we lost a second in track temp, and everybody went into the keyhole and didn't look at the weather. I was the only one that backed out early, and everybody slid wide, and I let Josh get back online and just kind of followed him around for a couple laps, and then once I got a run, got past him and drove away. I did this once before at Daytona, and it was the exact same situation. Qualifying was like ice cold, and the race was blazing hot. So I guess the hotter the session is, the better I am. I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think I remember that race some moons ago. I think it was probably about a year ago at this point, if my memory serves me correctly, which it very much so likely is not. But I was actually looking at the iRacing weather drop down. Not only was it a little bit hot out there, the relative humidity at 95%. And as much as you're from the south, along with Charles, maybe it's just my perspective as a guy up here in Pennsylvania. 95% humidity, that has to be like basically driving through a bowl of soup.
Pretty much lose all the horsepower out of the car and sweat just existing, which is like weather. I guess it would technically happen in Ohio. That sounds more like Iowa than Ohio. But yeah, I meant to mention in the previous interview, like I have a little bit of track knowledge that also steered me wrong. I went and did the regional with Syndev back. I don't even know if Syndev is still a thing, but I call it Syndev. And we had a wet race, and I spun twice. But the puddles are in the right spot, and the car does the same thing. Like that was that knowledge, and then the it just being a weird temperature that never happens at this track. It was fun. It's cool to drift these things through the corners, and just I think I was doing when I was talking to y'all in qualifying, I think I did the carousel without actually turning the steering wheel to the right. It was just get on the brakes and rotate it through it. But yeah, no, it's I think this is the first time I've ever won in this league at Mid Ohio. This has been one of the tracks that I'm convinced I should be good at, and I'm finally had 2 good races. But yeah, it was always fun racing with everybody. I didn't really get to race with many people this race, but in the V's, working through the field and stuff, we tend to put on a good show, I feel like.
Yep.
I gotta say, from my perspective as a commentator, y'all absolutely put on some fantastic shows, and I will, I'll just leave it at that, because y'all, I don't know what it is. Sometimes I think that y'all are probably mildly insane for some of the moves that you put on each other, but hey, as a commentator, I have no room to complain about all that. Some more awesome stuff to talk about. But Miles, we already asked you earlier on if there's anybody you want to give a thanks to or a shout out, and considering this is the last race of the season, we can't really ask you about the rounds moving forward. I'm just going to say well done on the wins that you grabbed throughout this season, and the great sportsmanship you've shown throughout it all as well. And fingers crossed, whenever the Ray Esports Club Racing League, or whatever this league will turn into, whenever it returns, I am going to be keeping my fingers crossed that we see you back out on the track, man. Always good to see you out there.
Yeah, no, I will be back. I'm happy we're taking the summer off because my schedule is getting really insane. And yeah, thank y'all for broadcasting. Hold on, wait, y'all are slow motion. So Sim Motion sponsors us. And thank you, Stevie, for putting up with us. And hi, Mom. I said hi to Jessica. So hi, Mom, and hi, Ren, and whoever else is watching in the group chat. So yeah, I'll see y'all whenever we start this back up.
I will say, Miles, before we let you go, if it makes you feel any better, one of the first shows I did here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, and it can be said, considering I kind of have the status that I have here, kind of handling all the content and the commentators and all that jazz around here. One of the first shows I did here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, I was doing the broadcast close, and instead of calling it Slow Motion Broadcasting, I accidentally referred to this broadcasting company as Apex Racing TV. So if it makes you feel any better, have it be known that I did that, and Mr. Adam Thompson never let it down. So
I will admit I've joined their server a couple times coming into the interview waiting room, because it was at the top. I had to like disable it, move it to the bottom.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a ghost town over there. Alrighty, Miles, before I start trashing on my former employer anymore, I will let you go and say well done on the win here in the Spec Racer Forwards.
Thank you, and thank y'all for broadcasting.
Thank you as well. That right there was Miles Crab, and with all that squared away, Charles, I will pass the buck off to you to have a chat with Trenton Kramer.
Yeah, let's bring Trenton in here, our P2 position finisher tonight, as well as the hard charger of the race. Trenton, great run tonight, up 12 positions from the start. Some guess you didn't qualify or just came in late, and but had a great run up through the field. And the last 10 minutes was some masterful racing between you and Jamison Huffman.
Yeah, it was a fantastic run. First of all, before I go anywhere, apologies to Jamison there. If I would have known he was at 4x, I probably wouldn't have raced him as close on that rear half. But unfortunately, I don't think that was a 4x. If anything, it was a 1x for the contact, and then me going off track because I overestimated the corner. But unfortunate contact. So once again, apologies, Jamison. Nothing but respect. Fantastic drive with you. Race with you any day. But yeah, so I hopped in a little bit late. I got 2 laps of quali in, and I 1x'd both of my laps. I decided, you know what, I don't like the setup. I'm going to make a change to it, and I went the wrong way. So the car was a bit of a handful. It was very, very nose happy, and it was very pointy and not very good at accelerating out of the corners. So minimizing the time spent giving somebody else the draft and maximizing as much of the drive out as I could was pretty much my whole name of the game.
There you go. And yeah, Miles mentioned it earlier that the track kind of changed a bit between quali and the race, and it got much hotter. So obviously the setup might not have been, even if you had the right one on, might not have been the one that you needed anyway. So you had a really good run through the field. Like I said, the battles there at the last 10 minutes of the race between you and Jameson was some of the best driving I've seen this season. It's just with the going down, taking that run down into China Beach and then over the hill and then through Thunder Valley, and you're doing crossovers and over unders, and he's late braking and working the outside. It was just really good racing.
Oh yeah, it was an absolute blast in the car. I hope it was as good up here in the booth as it was down there. This is the one track that I can say I've ran probably more laps than I ever desire to run to double it. It's a home track for me. I run it a lot, and I'm used to running it in a very slow car. So the only thing that I feel like I'm really good at on this track is positioning for defense. And boy, did I have to express it because Jameson was a coming.
Yes, he was indeed. Yeah, he had the bit between his teeth, as they say, trying to work his way up from that little earlier, incident that he had, or spin, and he worked his way through the field really quickly. And then once he got to you, though, it's the battle ensued, and like I said, it was fantastic from our side. So well done to you to hang on to that P2. And at this point, we'll let you, congratulate you and let you give any thanks or shout outs that you want to. And then we'll let you go enjoy the rest of your night.
Alrighty, well, first of all, I got to start off with y'all as a great commentary. I'm going to be able to sit down here, grab myself some moonshine, and enjoy the race backwards as if I didn't just do it, and have a nice conversation with some other friends and another chat here. So huge thank you to you guys for putting on such an awesome show. Hopefully, hint in the near future, we can work something out for a little fun event with a little bit of chaos. Josh, I know that we're in the process of getting that in discussion. Yep, and huge shout out to Stevie as well, setting up these leagues. This isn't a league that I can typically attend. Thankfully tonight I had some things come up where I was able to get home and just so happened to be able to be here. So thank you guys for making sure making sure this event is open for us guys that have horrible time management like myself. And then a huge shout out to Grass Paddock Motorsports. If you're in the business for looking around at getting into racing in the SCCA, we offer B-Spec Mini Cooper rentals and soon to be other chassis. Hint as well. We have cars in California and Georgia, in addition to we're eventually going to move down south to Texas, and we currently have cars in Michigan and Ohio as well. So we bring the car to the track and it sits there, and then we come out and bring the car out for you guys, and you guys just have to arrive and drive. It's a great opportunity for new drivers or experienced ones, and all of our cars are podium capable. So we'll be here at Mid-Ohio next month for the Hoosier Super Tour, and hope to see you guys in the chat.
Well, I would say this is I would arrive and drive, and it would be a podium capable car, but not a podium capable driver. So may just have to just catch you at maybe one of the tracks. Are you guys? You said Georgia. Are y'all near Road Atlanta or Atlanta Motorsports Park?
We are located down towards Road Atlanta, about an hour from there at the G-Lock factory, I believe, is where it's currently sitting. But yeah, we've got cars down at Road Atlanta. We just ran Road Atlanta and Roebling earlier this season, so we'll be down there again later this season once the Midwest stuff starts to die back down for the wintertime.
There you go. All right, Trent, well, congratulations. And great to hear about Grass Paddock, and we'll look forward to seeing you when the next season rolls around, or maybe sooner if you and Josh and the management can get something worked out. We'll do some fun events. That sounds like a blast, actually.
Awesome. It's great seeing you guys once again. Have a good night.
All right, thank you. You too.
And that right there was Trenton Kramer sorting out a business deal during the interview, which I gotta say is a first here at SMB.
Hey,
but
that's called wheeling and dealing. That's what he just did.
There we go. Yeah, that's the way it should be done here. I like that. That's a good way to put it, Charles. And that right there is the last interview from this season. Man, it has been a wacky, wonderful, and exciting ride ever since the Ray Esports Club Racing League started off all the way back in October, and it's unfortunately coming to a close here this evening. But stay tuned here, Slow Motion Broadcasting, because there's certainly going to be a lot of stuff here in the not too far off future. Charles, I want to pass things off to you first because you're my co-commentator for the second half of this season, and despite the fact you're only here for the second half of this season, I think it would be fair for me to say that you've enjoyed your time here.
Oh, absolutely. I like said, and if you want to hear me sing the praises of Ray Esports and Slow Motion, go watch the podcast that we did last night on the racing line. Just great fun to just kind of hang out with Stevie and JG2 and Adam. I'm so fond of the drivers here, both the weekday series as well as the weekend warriors. Just such an awesome community, and they do things the right way, and I'm just very proud to be part of it. And so thanks for inviting me. Like I said, I'll be here as long as you want me to stick around. We'll come in and we'll talk about some good, clean, fast racing in some SCCA spec cars, and what else can you say except meow.
Meow, indeed. That's the best way to possibly bring that all to a conclusion. Before we wrap, though, I want to also pass things off to Mr. Wilkie in the production truck, as Josh has been here just about all season long, with a couple of exceptions here and there coming through it. I'm a little bit disappointed that I had to miss out on that one show a couple of weeks ago, because otherwise I would have made it to every single one during this 21 round season. But Josh, you've been here for a while, both working the mic and obviously working all the cameras and the graphics and the production hauler. So you're on the business side of things here with SMB, and even before then you were just part of the show, and always have been, and always continue to will be. So I want to ask you about your thoughts on this entirety, the wacky ride that we've had here from the Ray Esports Club Racing League.
Yeah, it's been a long haul for the three of us, I think, right from the other broadcaster all the way to this. It's been a few years doing this for the three of us. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys immensely for all the comms and stuff like that you guys provide for everybody. It's just been amazing, and it wouldn't be the same without you guys for sure. I've been able to cut my teeth a little bit with you guys as well, and play a little bit of comms as well, which I'm really enjoying too, and get kind of the front instead of just always being in production, and just can't really say much that hasn't already been said just about this league and how awesome it is, and all the thanks from Stevie Ray and Sim Motion for helping us put all this stuff on. And we definitely have all kinds of things going on in the background here at SMB, and so make sure you stay tuned and hit that like and subscribe button, and we have all kinds of stuff coming down the pipe here in the next little bit. So thanks to everybody and the drivers, and yeah, I think we'll just wrap it up there, guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and just a couple of quick things before we really wrap things up here for this season. I've been a beneficiary of some absolutely fantastic people here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. Being able to do these shows with the both of you have been absolutely fantastic. Josh, your work behind the scenes on the production side of things should not go unnoticed. It is absolutely awesome stuff, and you're a great guy as well. I've been able to see you through the years since we kind of got started in broadcasting around the same time in spring of 2023. I've seen your life and your career involved, going from a producer in training to being the owner here of Slow Motion Broadcasting, and Charles doing these shows, whether it be these Ray Esports ones or whether it be the Weekend Warriors. It's always great to be in the booth with you. As much as some people say that a series like this really only needs one commentator, I'm happy to have a co-commentator always, and Charles, you're a stand-up guy and always awesome to have here in the booth. Along with that, we would like to give a thanks to Mr. Stevie Ray for makes everything that you see here in the Ray Esports world possible. Darren Ganji and all the people at Sim Motion who have made these broadcasts possible ever since the season started up back in October. I'd also like to thank Guido Marzuki, along with both Adams here at SMB, Adam Thompson, the brand new dad, the chief Meow Mows, I like to call him, Adam Thompson, and also the other Adam Thompson that you can catch on the XSLR broadcast on Sundays here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Would also like to thank, just from a personal side of things, my dad for raising the circus clown that you hear on the air too many times during the week here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and also my best friend Kate for all that she does for me. But with all those thanks and everything squared away, I think we can look ahead to see what other stuff we have here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, because have it be known, folks, the racing action simply does not stop. On Tuesdays at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the action for the American Muscle Series. Those old Mustangs put on some really good racing. Can catch someone who you may be familiar with from the Weekend Warrior side of things, Mr. Randall McGrew on the call for those, and Mr. Wilkie on production. Then come time for Wednesdays, it is no longer Wild Card Wednesdays, but we've still got the action from the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4 Championship. They're in the midst of their season. I think they've still got broadcasts going on right now as this one's going on. That is a wonderful series. You've got some pretty good commentators there, Mr. J.R. Gregory, and a new hire here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, Keenan Miller, who you can catch on the call for those races every single Wednesday. Then come time for the weekends, we have got you covered with the Weekend Warriors. Saturdays, you can catch the Formula Vs at 3:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then on Sundays, you can see the Formula Fords at 1:45 and the Spec Racer Fords at 3:45. That doesn't even do it for Sundays, though, as later on those evenings, you can catch the action from XSLR. They're in the midst of their dirt road schedule at the moment. They're getting close to switching over to the asphalt stuff, which may be when you see me out there on the racetrack. And have it be known, when that happens, as much as I say some stupid crap on the air, nothing will get a better laugh out of people when they see me out on the racetrack. It'll be like watching a baby giraffe taking its first steps. But stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for all the stuff here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Never miss out on any of the racing action by hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified every single time we post something or every single time that we go live. But for one final time here from the Ray Esports Club Racing League here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, for this season, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Bachel joining me in the commentary booth, and Josh Wilkie working all the cameras in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for watching this season's presentation of the Ray Esports Club Racing League on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And for all of us, it's farewell.